Hello and welcome back to the Regents pod. Today we have another special guest with us. We have Joel.
Joel.
Hello everyone.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you for having me. It's a privilege.
Good to have you. How are you doing?
Good. Yeah. The sun's been out, so I'm quite content. When the sun's out, that makes a big difference on perspective. So, yeah.
It has been a lovely day.
It has been a lovely day. I've not
Windows
been
down.
outside as much as I could have been, but it has been a lovely day.
I went for a walk.
Yeah.
It was very
Did
nice.
you go down or
Down into the ground. Yeah. It was very
just
nice.
now?
A few hours ago.
Okay. So you didn't see Tom and James on their travels?
I didn't know.
Oh.
They're
Some
always doing
antics.
something.
Yeah.
Always doing
Yeah.
something.
Some sort of adventure.
Yeah.
I went for a drive earlier, just to the shop,
Mm-hmm.
but windows all the way down.
Which shop did you go to?
I went to Next and Morrison's.
Nice.
So, not very exciting, but
Mm-hmm. Needed some new clothes.
no. Just looking around, just bored.
Mm.
I was mainly going to Morrison's, but then Next was there, so I was like, I'll have a pop in.
Yeah.
But nothing grabbed my attention.
Oh, too bad.
You're doing a masters?
Yes. So I'm still here. So
You are?
I've done 3 years. I'm basically like a first year again because my masters will take 3 years.
Wow.
So I'm coming to the end of the first one, like you guys at undergrad, and I'll be here for maybe as long as you guys are. So it depends where I do my third year, because it's a bit more independent. I guess you can kind of do it from anywhere really. So that's been good so far. Currently in the second module, which is cool. Looking at Christology. So I've got to write 6,000 words about the Ascension for July.
Wow, very exciting.
Good fun.
So you've already done what James and I are on our journey of completing.
Completed it.
Done it, mate.
Done it.
And
Done it, mate.
now on to bigger and better things. is
Yeah,
that
well,
right?
I couldn't get enough really. I was very content at Regents and studying and things like that. And it probably wasn't until like August last year that I was like set on what I was going to be doing for the next few years. But yeah, I just loved it enough and too much to stop it really.
Yeah.
The academics was very enjoyable and still is. So
Good.
So I'm still here. And otherwise I wouldn't have met you guys.
That's
so
true.
It was worth it.
Would have been
just for
devastating.
this year.
And you wouldn't be a guest on the Regents
I
pod.
know. I'm a
Mainly,
big
that's the
advocate for the Regents pod as well. Honestly,
Good.
every episode, seen them all.
Wow.
That's what we love to see.
I'm a big fan.
We love to see.
I'm a
You're a
big
role
fan.
model.
Exactly.
Everyone should listen to the
I know.
Regents pod.
You guys need to listen to Joel's advice.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
if they're hearing this, then they are. So
That's true.
Yeah. True.
that's great.
They need to tell their friends. They need to tell everyone they know.
True.
Wow. So why don't we start with a little bit about your undergraduate journey, so to say, like little year one Joel.
Little year one, Joel.
How did he find Regents?
I was very excited to start. It very much felt right. I did a gap year beforehand, so I kind of had quite a few months preparing for it. Really, it wasn't just out of the blue. So I was quite, I guess, in some ways quite ready for it. I actually remember because I came on site a couple maybe a day early compared to everybody else, and stayed overnight. And so then I was ready for the induction week, and it was interesting because my mum and dad left, and I remember being sat on one of the benches outside, where you can see out towards Wales and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was just sat there, and it was just like the calm before the storm in a way, anticipating what was to come. Everybody kind of moving on site and meeting lots of new people and starting new things and stuff. So there was a lot of anticipation for that, but it was exciting. So yeah, I was quite. It was quite a lot maybe at first. I can be quite a bit more reserved to start with, a bit more of an introvert than not. So it was quite a lot to take in at first, but you kind of settle quite quickly, and you quickly feel like it's home and it's family as well. So yeah, settled quite quickly. Always loved the studies. Loved probably every module that I've done. So yeah, hence doing the masters.
What's been your favourite module? It's a good question. Because you've done a lot now.
Yeah, I know. I've done nearly all of the modules that actually exist.
Wow.
Completed. I let me think. One of the ones that comes to mind initially is Old Testament prophets, Old Testament prophetic literature that I did in my third year. That was really good. I'm trying to think what else was. I did both languages, so Greek and Hebrew. They were challenging, but really, really good. To kind of understand the Bible at a bit of a different level. Trying to think what else I enjoyed. Probably Old Testament prophetic literature would be the top, the top one, a very memorable one. Yeah, big advocate for the Old Testament. So,
That's good. What track were you on?
I was on theology track, pure theology. There was quite a few like practical things though. Like I did a placement because it was compulsory in my year. You couldn't choose it. So I did a placement, which was great. But I probably would have chosen like something more biblical studies based. So yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Just a love an academic, in a way.
Yeah. Getting there.
Getting there.
Yeah. You'd hope so. After at least like 3.5 years, you'd hope so.
Almost coming to the end of the fall.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
how exciting.
Yeah. Well, although with it being part-time, with masters being part-time, I feel like
Part-time.
Yeah.
I see.
So there's some time where you're not actually doing master's work.
Mm-hmm.
So whereas at undergrad you kind of like got a module every 5 weeks, because mine's more spread out and some of them can overlap. It depends what you choose, but I had a gap between like January and March where I didn't really have any master's work to do, which was interesting. So yeah, it's been like less constant, but yeah, still been fun to engage with.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And obviously at Regents there's always the academic side, but also, you know, you're living on site in a close community with loads of other people. How would you say you found that aspect of Regents and living in such a close community like we do?
Yeah, I think in my first year it was probably a bit more of a challenge, because you just have to get used to people constantly being around. You can kind of find times where it's just you and you can kind of just be in your room or find space and, you know, take a walk up the hill, for example, and just be on your own for a bit, and it's good to do that. But yeah, there constantly being people around was like, it was very much a good thing because there was always people that you could meet up with to do something fun, or whether it was getting together to pray about things. That was always beneficial, but it probably was a lot at first. But I guess you kind of just find your rhythm after a while, which I managed to do, which was good. So yeah, it's been an interesting experience. You get very close to people that I'll be friends with for a long time, even though, you know, for nearly a year they've lived away from Regents now. I've still been very much in good contact with them. Some people that haven't gone that far away from Regents, a lot of people who've actually stayed quite close from my year, which is cool. So yeah, it's definitely been brilliant for building those kind of relationships that are like foundational really now, going forward, I think. So yeah, pretty positive, I'd say. I'm like blocking off the sign from that camera.
Don't you worry.
Need to keep advertising.
Everybody
Regents.
knows.
We all know where we're.
We know where we're at.
Yeah.
The Regents pod.
Like and subscribe.
Nice plug.
Yeah, have to do it. So you do like teaching stuff as well. You did one of our lectures.
Yeah.
It was on Samuel,
It was.
wasn't it?
Was it any good?
It was
I
fantastic.
enjoyed it.
Oh, thanks, guys. That wasn't just, you know, for ego. I just
No, it was good.
No, it was.
I genuinely really enjoyed it.
good.
It was in the
Good.
biblical interpretation module. wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
See,
that
I
was,
can remember.
yeah. I
It
think that
must
was.
be good.
I think that was the first one that I did, maybe in like October. I
Yeah.
think something like that. So that was great. Yeah, it was the first time doing something like that, which was amazing. Just having the opportunity to do that this year, with my role here at Regents has been really cool. Lecturers have just given me a lot of opportunity to do that kind of thing, which has been awesome, and a lot of students were very gracious in those sessions as well, which is cool. So yeah, just like really positive about it. So it's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy that kind of environment of like taking theological concepts or maybe specific things that we don't necessarily think a lot about, and being able to discuss them a bit and bring up the question and whether things are a bit more like ambiguous, just like exploring them a little bit more, was really cool. So yeah. So thank you for engaging in that
No, definitely, it
with
was
me.
good. Would you look to do more of that, given the opportunity?
Yeah, I think so. I think I can't remember how many there's been this year, but there's been a few different ones this year that I've done, which have been really, really enjoyable. I think mostly because people are quite keen to like discuss things together and engage with it. It's not just me speaking at the front about these things that I've found out.
Yeah.
It's like us all on a bit of like an endeavor together with it, which has been really cool. So yeah, so I'll probably do a bit more of that next year. I don't know necessarily long term, but I do really enjoy that kind of learning environment where you're able to just like bring up those topics and question them and allow people to question and like just flex their mind a bit on certain things. Has been really good. So yeah, it's good fun.
Doing good.
Good.
And I know you had like another sort of role within Regents. You did a lot of like research stuff, didn't you, as well?
Yeah,
Maybe tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I guess with my role this year, it's teaching and research assistant. So it can vary really. Like at the moment, we've been doing some work on some online courses that Regents are developing. So sometimes it's just like more practical stuff to do with that. Other times it might be research for topics that we're going to be looking at in the classes. So we did biblical interpretation, did one for Old Testament prophets, which was cool. I even did a couple of youth ones,
Wow.
which was interesting, because I'm not necessarily, I didn't do youth track, but it was really cool being able to do that in a bit of a different thing and be challenged in some ways to like look into something a bit more new, where I'm by no means like an expert, but just being able to like, again, bring up these things with people who are wanting to like develop and grow in that area was really cool. So yeah, it's been good.
So over Easter, you
Mhm.
did a preach at your church. Was that good? You were talking about that in tutor.
Yes. Would you like to say more about it?
Please do.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, great. It was a great privilege to be able to speak on Easter this year, and I was speaking about resurrection, of course. JB actually asked me like, "What are you going to be speaking about beforehand?" And I was like, "Well, resurrection, because it's Easter, isn't it? So what else are you going to speak about?"
Exactly.
So yeah, speaking about resurrection, but I always like to think, how can you kind of make it a bit more like unique, or find something new within the concept of resurrection that makes it like resonate with people. So I was speaking about I called it resurrection extension, and speaking about how the resurrection of Jesus wasn't just like an isolated and single event that only affected him. It was supposed to be expansive, and it was like an invite to people, where he was saying, "I'm the resurrection of life. Believe on me, you will have resurrection life as well." But even further than that, it's like extending outside of us, because as believers we have resurrection life, and so we've got to do something with that. We've got to share that message with people, or whether it's like just seeing the power of God in like the resurrection power of God in healing and in miracles and in prophetic words and stuff like that. There's like a mandate on us to extend that as well. So that was really good fun to be able to speak on. I actually spoke with bunny ears the whole time.
Really?
So yeah, our pastors, 2 children, said beforehand that I needed to wear these bunny ears when I spoke, and they went out to kids' church, so they didn't even witness it. But I thought I'd do it for the recording.
Wow.
It turns out the recording didn't even work.
Oh, no.
So there is no evidence that I did it. But I wore these bunny ears, started doing the talk, forgot I had them on, and they stayed on the whole time. So
wow,
yeah.
That's commitment.
So maybe that was a point of engagement for people.
Yeah, true.
Unintentionally, but whatever works, I guess.
Whatever works. Yeah. Sounds really good.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy doing that? Is that something you've done a lot, like preaching? Is
like sporadically, yeah. There's been a number of occasions, not like really regular. I think in some ways I've preferred the more academic style of speaking, because it's not just me speaking then.
Yeah.
Like even this is like a lot of me speaking now, that I don't always naturally do. So I think I like where everyone can have like input into it. So preaching is a little bit of a different style. I did very much enjoy it, and I think it's an honourable like opportunity. But yeah, I think I prefer the kind of academic environment where it's like classroom setting in a sense. So yeah,
Cool.
yeah, good fun. How was
Wow.
your guys' Easters?
Yeah.
Anything significant on Easter Sunday at church?
Yes. We had a baptism service on Easter Sunday,
That is a great time
which
for
is
a
just
baptism
it's
service.
so exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, the church was full to the brim with loads of different people and loads that I hadn't seen before, and it was really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it's just so good. And one of my childhood best friends got baptised.
That is cool.
What a legend!
What a legend.
So, and you know, he'd been in church all his life and been exploring a little bit.
Yeah.
And he'd been looking around, like looking for it a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and searching. And then more recently, he just started to get proper involved. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, he was just what a guy!
Mm-hmm.
What a guy! And
Was he always involved like in church or?
yeah,
not?
so he
Not so much?
always went to church,
Mhm.
and it was a different church to the one I used to go to,
Mhm.
and yeah, just sometimes we would speak about it,
Mhm.
sometimes we wouldn't, but yeah, he was always went to church, and
Mhm.
he was always like believed in God and those kind of things. But then in the last couple of years, he's really just had that foundation in his faith, and he decided to get baptized, which was so exciting. I was so proud of him, and it was like, do you know what I mean when
That is
you're
exciting.
watching one of your best mates getting baptized?
That is very exciting.
It was a great moment. So yeah, Easter Sunday was very exciting.
Was it like a pool within the church?
Yeah, so on the stage, it's like a raised stage,
Mhm.
and then like there's a hole in the middle, which
Yeah.
is normally covered up by wood and carpet, but
Mhm.
you can just remove the planks and then go down,
Nice.
which is pretty cool.
Take a
Yeah.
plunge.
Yeah, take a plunge, and then afterwards, I went to my uncle's house
Mm-hmm.
and just had the best lamb I've ever had.
Wow.
It was delicious. So my Easter Sunday was very exciting.
Good.
Quite the day, actually.
Was that better than the baptism?
It was close, to be honest.
Competing.
It was competing. I mean, I tried to replicate some of the roast potatoes that he made, but it was a big fail. Big fail.
Yeah, it's tricky. It is tricky. My mum makes good roast potatoes, but I've not really had a go yet.
Fairs. Could always give it a shot.
Maybe. I stick with curry at the moment.
Nice. Curry's a staple.
Mm-hmm.
Can't go wrong. Well, you can.
You can.
But
You
I'm sure
can.
most of
If you get the ones that are just like in a jar that are basically ready made, you just add chicken to them.
Yeah.
Easy.
Simple.
That's good. Wow.
Well,
Guys, I'm so excited
I'm
to
excited.
announce Listen Twists.
Wow.
Our
and
favourite
twist.
segment.
I actually saw Nathaniel suggest the segment on
Roast the hosts. Yeah.
I was wondering if that might come up.
Yeah. We were keeping that
I,
quiet.
I didn't have any
Yeah,
roasts
we didn't
ready
want-
for.
You did?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay. Good.
Well,
Ironically, we're talking about roast potatoes though.
true.
Wow.
Well, if you didn't have anything prepared, we might just have to hold off on that one.
Yeah, sorry
Until
about
another
that. Yeah,
time.
we'll
What a
stick
shame.
with listen twists.
What a
I'm
shame.
very excited about listen twists either way.
That's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it should be.
It's true.
Everyone needs to be excited about listening. So, what is the list? The list is your top 3
Yeah.
favourite board games.
Okay. I think that number 1 would probably be Risk.
Risk.
Okay.
Do you know
Mhm.
Risk?
I do.
Yes.
World Conquest.
Yeah.
Incredible game.
Mm-hmm.
Can take a long time.
Yeah.
And it can be a bit hectic when somebody decides they've just had enough and there's an earthquake suddenly and just all the soldiers just annihilated, and that's the end of the game. So I think that would be number 1. What counts as like specifically as a board game though? Like if you had something like Articulate.
Articulate's good fun, and technically there is a board.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
I think I'll allow it.
Yeah, that's quite fun. When
The
you've got
referee will
friends, when you've got friends and people that like get very invested and borderline like a healthy competitive edge.
Yeah.
I think that is very entertaining.
Yeah.
And how like expressive people get playing that kind of game
Mm-hmm.
is good. A third one. Have you got any suggestions for a third one? Need to help.
Monopoly.
Monopoly.
I know you're a big advocate for Monopoly, aren't you, James?
Just a little bit.
How many times have you won now? What's your record?
I think it's only been twice, you know.
Nice. That's good though.
Not that many
Played
times.
twice, won twice.
That's good.
Well, no, I've played many more times than twice.
We played the video game version as well.
We did, which I may have been on the road to winning if
Yeah,
I didn't stop.
Yeah. It was lengthy.
It was.
Yeah.
They can last a long time, Monopoly.
Yeah.
I remember doing like an overnighter, but like not. I stayed up. It got too late, and I had to go to bed, and then we played again in the morning.
That is dedication to Monopoly.
But when you win, that's part of the satisfying factor.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Because you made all the work and it just works well.
Yeah. I used to play Cluedo with my family.
Oh yeah,
It was good.
But my mum would always win. So
it's a shame.
it was healthy in terms of we learned how to lose well.
Yeah.
But yeah, she always used to win at that. So I don't know if I can pick Cluedo as a third one necessarily. It's tricky.
It's tricky.
Have you got a favourite one, Ben? That I can steal?
Favorite board game? I don't know. I like those games where it's kind of like half board game, half not board game, and it's just like some silly little game that you play once and then you.
I like
go
a bit more casual.
Yeah, I'm more like a casual board game kind of guy. And then you're like, oh, that was fun, and then I might play it again in like 100 years, but I'm not a big board game person.
Oh, I just remembered. There's one that I got at Christmas. I don't know how I've forgotten about this, but it's called the Really Nasty Horse Racing
I
Game.
have played that game.
Right, and
That is a
that
good
is
game.
hectic.
That is
so we
hectic.
played it with my family for the
Uh-huh.
first time. We went away to like the Lake District, and my family was there, and we played it, and it didn't get out of hand. It was just again healthy competition. But have you heard of the game, James?
I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it.
Basically, it's like classic horse racing where you can like back the different horses who you think are going to win, and they're all assigned to like a player in the game. So you can put money on each horse, but you can also like mug each other off basically by like falling each other's horses depending on the cards that you play. So if they get to a fence, you can like just rule them out of the game because their horse fell. So it gets a bit hectic. So as soon as somebody makes that first move, it's like
All that game
war.
on.
yeah.
No one's
it's-
very happy.
It's carnage basically.
That's a good choice.
So yeah, I think that would be. What was my number 2?
Articulate.
Risk. The Really Nasty Horse Racing Game. Articulate.
Yeah. Very nice.
That took a while to get there. But
We got there in the
we
end.
did get
You wanted a perfect list.
That's true.
Yeah, I've put some thought into it. So
Well, let me tell you your twist. We're only halfway there. The twist is, and it might only work for the first two, it might not work for Articulate.
okay.
But if you were transported into the life
Yeah.
of the video of the board game,
Yeah.
and it's you're actually there,
Yeah.
would you win?
In all 3 of them.
Well, Articulate, you kind of are there.
Yeah. Because you can't like embody it.
Yeah, you can't really embody
Yeah.
the little character that you play as. But so for Risk,
So
do you think if you were there that you could actually take over the world?
if I was one of the little men,
If you were in the game,
if I was
Would
in
you
the
have
game, would I be like the commander of the army or just
you'd be the
person
commander.
in the army?
Probably the commander.
I don't know if I'd want to win. Like declaring war is all well and good when it's a board game.
Yeah,
But,
but
like,
now
in
you're
real-
actually in the game.
Yeah, like actually declaring war.
Uh-huh.
I don't really think I could justify that, to be honest.
No, fair enough.
So maybe I could win if I had, the desire
The
to
desire to win, yeah.
to
You really needed to.
declare war, but I don't think that's really in me.
Can you ride a horse?
I
you
was
can-
more thinking of me like being the horse.
You are the horse.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
if I was in the game, like
Yeah.
if because there's no riders in the game, I don't think. There's like pictures of riders,
Yeah,
but it's
pictures
just
of
like
riders, yeah.
it's just like little horse.
You can be the horse if you want to.
Yeah,
So
you can be the horse.
I'll be the horse. Would I win? Jumping over those fences? Maybe.
Maybe.
I've never really tried jumping over a massive hedge.
No.
My mate once did it with. We went to this concert once, and there was a support act, and afterwards, for some reason, this guy was just like, he was probably a bit off his head, but he was like, he said to my mate, "Do you reckon you could jump over that hedge?" And my mate was like, "Yeah."
Well, you have to. If someone challenges you to
so
jump
they
over
both
a
just
hedge,
ran and jumped over this massive hedge, and it didn't really end up that well.
oh,
Right.
So I'm kind of hesitant.
yeah.
Like, that's in the back of my mind. I think jumping over hedges.
But as a horse,
Yes.
you have that extra strength to jump.
You do.
True.
That's what you're
Yeah,
built
the strength
for.
of a horse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm gonna have a bit of self-confidence and say,
Yeah, do it.
if I was a horse,
Jump over a hedge.
I could jump over a hedge.
I rate it. Well, that's been Listen Twists.
Thank you. That was an exciting
Thanks for
segment.
listening, guys.
No.
I love that segment.
It
gets
is.
better
It is
every
a great.
time.
It is a
It
great
gets better every
segment.
time.
It is a great one.
Can't be replaced, really.
Not even by roast the
host?
hosts.
No, definitely not.
Not a
Maybe.
fan.
Maybe.
We'll see. Well, that brings us to the main chunk of the Regents pod. We want to, we've heard a little bit about your story at Regents and obviously Listen Twists, but we just want to get to know you, Joel, and what
Thanks, Ben.
what life was like
So
before
nice.
Regents. Because obviously, I don't feel like I know you too well about what you did before coming here.
Mhm.
So just let us know.
Yeah.
Let us in.
Well, feel free to jump in as you wish.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think back to my earliest testimonial memory. Really, I think I grew up in a Christian household.
Mhm.
I think I was very young when I kind of I sat down with my mum and she was like, "Would you like to ask Jesus to come into your life?" Really, like I say, it was the environment I was brought up in, and I think in some ways like God has kept me since then from an early age. I wouldn't have remembered this, but it's only because it came up recently. I was baptized when I was 7, which is fairly young, really, which was great. I was baptized with my older sister as well in the same pool, which is cool. And so that was when I was about 7. And then it was probably when I was like getting into high school that it became a bit more real. Like I was taking a bit more ownership for like faith and this decision that I'd made, because I grew up with maybe friends that would call themselves Christian, but then we went to high school and then they maybe weren't so inclined anymore. And so I was like, well, I kind of need to decide why I believe what I believe. And if it is true, then surely there's some like substance to it. So when you're in like a typical high school where you don't necessarily have that like Christian education, there's a lot of suggestions about other theories about the world and philosophies and stuff like that. And I guess that kind of prompted me to do a bit more like independent looking into faith and like the fundamentals of Christianity, really. So that in some ways probably started my like, let's say like intellectual faith endeavor in some ways. But I also grew up like going to Soul Survivor, which was awesome. I grew up in a C of E church actually until I was about 14, 15, I think. Quite traditional. But every year we'd go to Soul Survivor from about 11 to 15, I think. And it was incredible because it was just such an opportunity to encounter God. There was a lot of space made for that kind of thing. So it wasn't just even though there was wonderful like seminars you go to that was like maybe learning and that kind of like mental development of faith, there was a lot of time for like personal experience, and that was probably one of the first encounters I had with things like the prophetic and prophetic ministry. So it might have been people coming over to friends of mine or over to me and saying, I've got this word that I feel like I need to share with you about maybe your future and things like that. And it's just these really poignant moments that you remember. Like I think I've still got a few notes of different things that were said, because otherwise I would forget. But those really prominent moments, really, where the Spirit was very present. And spoke in tongues for the first time at Soul Survivor.
Speaking in tongues is so cool, isn't it?
It is
and it's
wild.
It's so weird.
It is weird.
Maybe for some of the guys out there, the guys and gals listening who don't know what speaking in tongues is, Joel, why don't you just explain? What is speaking
Okay.
in tongues?
I think the best way I could probably explain it is from experience, from that first experience I had. So during this meeting, they said, "Would anybody like to receive the gift of tongues?" And I guess they probably said that it was something like a personal kind of communication with God in a language that isn't your own. And so I stood up and was like, assumed the prayer position, ready to receive prayer and stuff like that. And I was on my own at the time. I stood up in this meeting, and I was just like praying in English, like my own language, just to start with, and just thanking God for different things. And then every so often, because I'd heard my mum speak in tongues a few years earlier, I kind of knew what it sounded like. So I'd have a go speaking, and it'd just be like a load of nothing, right? So I'd be quite like laughing at myself, thinking this is never going to happen, or just like I'm making it a bit of a fool of myself. But there's no one around, so it didn't really matter that much. And so I'd go back to just speaking in English and praying, and thanking God for things. And then I'd try again, and like there was a few times where it just wasn't really happening, but I didn't want to force it. Anyway, it might have been like the fourth or fifth time, and I started speaking in this other language, and it just started to flow. And the best way I can describe it is it was as though I was able to communicate now with God in a way that like transcended my understanding up until that point, because you're kind of limited by like your own language. It was like everything I felt like maybe was in my like inside that I wanted to communicate to God, I could now, but in this other language that I didn't like mentally understand, but like spiritually it was like there was a lot of life in it. I think is the best way of describing it.
I mean, sometimes you
yeah.
often hear people say like, "Oh, there's something in me, but I can't tell you."
Yeah.
Like not even in church or just anywhere,
Yep.
people can feel something inside them. I can't explain it, or how I feel about a certain thing, and people use it alongside other emotions, don't they? I was so sad I can't even explain.
Yep. Yeah.
And I think, like you said, sometimes tongues helps us to say those things when English isn't good enough.
Exactly. Well, funny story. I couldn't stop when it happened.
You couldn't stop. Wow.
It just kept going, and like I said, it was like just saying everything that was inside. It was like I didn't really want to stop, so it kept going, and we ended up going to like Asda for lunch or something like that. And it was a good job we didn't go to like a restaurant where we had to like order food, because I just would have had no chance. So that was quite entertaining. I eventually stopped later in the day, but
wow,
that was quite exciting.
That is very fun.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, yeah. Thanks. That's great.
Welcome.
How did you find out about Regents?
It was probably when I was in college. So when I think of Soul Survivor and those like moments of Soul Survivor, that was probably towards the end of high school, so like age 14, 15, that was really prominent. And then in college, there was quite a number of moments at the church I went to at that point that were just really poignant. It might have been that we had someone who was visiting that was speaking, and we'd have a lot of people who were quite strong on prophetic ministry. And so similarly to Soul Survivor, but more in like a local church context, there was those kind of moments of just like encounter with God. So that was in the church I was in, probably during college. And even though I was at college and studying things that were not, like I didn't do like religious studies or anything, my A-levels weren't really connected to that. At that point I was much more inclined to be studying the Bible, and enjoyed that more than my like college studies. So I did a gap year where I did an internship at my church. So I think it was kind of in college and then during the internship that my pastor was like suggested about Regents, because he knew I just like loved reading the Bible and studying more than other subjects and stuff. So he suggested it, and I visited, and I was like, yeah, this looks great. Why not live on a hill?
Yeah.
For 4 years.
Jobs are paid.
Plus. So yeah, so that's how I ended up coming to here.
Love to see it. What did you study at college?
I did maths, chemistry, music, and Spanish.
Wow.
I shouldn't really have done 4. I kept 4 for 2 years, which was daft.
How long was college?
2 years.
Oh yeah.
But like some people would drop 1
Oh, after 1 year.
after 1 year.
Yeah.
I just kept 4 for 2 years
Yeah,
for some
well,
reason.
if you can.
Yeah. It was. I think I enjoyed all the subjects in their own right, but not really to the point where I wanted to like really study them further.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I feel like I have a little bit of a similar experience to that.
Mm.
Like, I did my A levels, but I actually knew that I wanted to come here
Mm-hmm.
before I started my A levels.
Oh.
But I had to do my A levels
Yeah.
to get in.
Yeah.
So I had 2 years of just doing something that I didn't really want to do,
Yeah.
just so I could get.
It was a bit of a slog.
It was very much a slog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was tedious, but we got
Yeah.
there in the end.
Yeah. What did you do at college?
I did music technology, and psychology.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good.
It was good. I'm like, really, I just chose the ones I thought would sounded interesting,
Yeah.
and I love music, so I was like, I'll just do all that I can
Yeah.
while I'm here.
Yeah.
Because at least, if I have to do it, at least I'll try and enjoy it.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
Best way to do it.
And you can still do music now.
I can. Yeah, so I suppose it helped in a way.
Yeah.
Did you learn a lot from it?
Yeah, I'd say I did. I started my college with a slight misunderstanding. So they asked me if I had level 6 in music,
Mm.
and I can play the guitar. And
You like grade 6?
yeah,
You're right.
and I was like, well, I'm above grade 6. I can do that. That's
Yeah.
fine. But she didn't actually mean that. She meant, have you got grade 6 music theory?
Oh, that's a whole different ball.
A whole different ball game.
Yeah.
I didn't have any.
Oh dear.
I was on complete zero.
Yeah.
So I go into class first time, and
Yeah.
they were talking about all these letters and numbers, and I started from scratch, and
Yeah.
everyone else in the class was already knew what he was on about. So
Yeah.
that was a bit tedious.
Facing the space.
Yeah, facing the space. Yeah, every good boy says football. that kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one. But I didn't know what that was on about.
Mm.
So, but we got there in the end, and I passed, just about.
Good.
So
Good. I'm glad those are
That's what we
good
like to see.
conclusion to that
that's
stuff.
what we like to see.
Yeah.
That is positive.
It was alright. It was good fun. You just gotta have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
College is a weird
If
time.
you're not having fun, then you're not doing it right. Do you know what I mean?
Wow. What a line.
What a line. That's
What
what
a
my
line.
dad used to say.
Nice. I like it.
If you're not having fun, you're not doing it right.
Good
And it's
wisdom.
true.
It is true.
And that's what I've decided about almost everything, to be
Mm.
honest. Like, just make it fun.
It's a whole philosophy.
Just make it fun,
Mm.
because there's fun in everything.
Wow. I'm inspired.
There we go. That's my one liner. I'm going now. See you later.
Quote of the day.
Quote of the day. No, it's good. It's good. Fun times. But yeah. It's exciting having you here, Joel. And thank you so much for sharing a little bit about your testimony.
It's all good.
It's been good to, get to know what you've been doing up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, because you spend all this time with all these different people, and then gradually you start to connect the dots about what they've experienced compared to what you've experienced,
Mm-hmm.
compared to like some things that other people have experienced I've never even thought about,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of brings it all together, and
Mhm.
it makes you realise that you can actually see more of what they see
Mm-hmm.
and kind of understand what they're saying. So
Mhm.
thank
Well,
you.
I've enjoyed listening to the podcast so far because just hearing
So
people's
far.
stories has been great. So
That was the whole point, and I'm glad.
you guys probably need to like interview each other though.
At some point,
Maybe not.
James.
No. Yeah, we will. I think so.
Yeah, we will.
Just,
When we run out of people to
Yeah.
interview,
yeah.
we can do
Then
it.
it's time for roast the hosts.
Yeah, we can do roast of the show, just one-on-one.
It will happen at
That
some
could be
point.
quite good, actually.
Yeah,
It will happen.
that's true.
One thing that I do keep saying as well is because each guest is a different person, even though we're still here, it's just a different experience each time.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone just has their own personality that's brought onto the table, and it's just all good in its own way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very good.
Not to toot our own horn or anything, but
Which is great.
we love the Regents pod.
What can we say?
Wow. Well, this is very exciting. Has there been anything, Joel? Let me ask you this. Has there been anything, maybe since, let's say, high school, secondary school.
Mm.
Has there been anything since then that you can look back from now
Mm-hmm.
that you kind of maybe thought to yourself, oh, I'd love to do that one day, and that now you've actually done it? Has there been something that, like, you thought, oh, that would be fun, and then sometimes you've managed to do it, or like a goal that you set for yourself that you feel like you've achieved? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know if it's necessarily things I like set out to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes things have just like unfolded a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Like as the months go by and as the years go by, different opportunities come up, and so I'm just like happy to take them. So I think it's probably doing like the lecturing.
Yeah.
Has been really, really enjoyable. Not something I necessarily like anticipated, especially not like during high school. But I think I really enjoy that opportunity to do something like that academically.
Mm-hmm.
I do really enjoy like research as well. Like just being able to like sit with some sort of theological concept and articulate it in some way,
Mm-hmm.
and like have the tangible paper that you finish with, where it's a mix of like my thoughts and other research that I've done, has been really cool. So I think just like producing things like that has been really satisfying for me, but not necessarily things I like planned on doing beforehand.
Yeah,
They just happened, and I've enjoyed them
Mm-hmm.
as they've happened, really. So
That's cool.
yeah, I think I'd go with that.
I was just going to mention, actually, yesterday, lots of the third years handed in their dissertations
Yeah.
to do, which
Exciting times.
well, yeah, a little bit scary for.
I even feel
James and I.
relieved, to be honest.
You feel relieved?
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
It's finally done.
Yeah.
I know, but obviously, last year you'd have done your own one.
Yeah.
How did you feel about handing that in? What did you do it on, if you don't mind me asking?
I did ancient Israelite cosmology.
Wow.
So I was basically writing about what the Israelites in the Old Testament believed about the structure of the world, basically. They had this like very 3-tier structure where it was like heaven, earth, and the underworld. So I was specifically looking at like the heavens, everything that's up. So that was really cool. I was able to write about like the sun and moon when they stop in Joshua, and like the waters above the firmament in Genesis, and the amount of times in Scripture those kind of concepts come up, which is really cool. So yeah, really enjoyed that a lot. I was kind of quite set on doing that before starting the year. So it was great. I had a lot of help from Martin, who was my supervisor as well, which was awesome.
With Martin.
Yeah.
What a guy.
What a guy. So yeah, that was really enjoyable. It was, I was happy to complete it, but I'd love to go back over it and like edit it a bit and improve it and do more with it. But yeah, it was good fun. Yeah.
If you had one piece of advice for people like me and James who haven't quite got there yet, before we even start, what would you say about the dissertation?
Probably pick something you're definitely interested in. Yeah. Which might sound a bit obvious, but I think you can easily just like pick something because you're like, oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
But I think something that's got a bit more substance to it, where there's like different aspects that you can look at. It's not just like one thing that you're drilling in on, but there's like different parts to it, is cool. So yeah, pick something that you know you'll enjoy for a long time.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll write that down.
Nice. And I'll write your advice down.
Nice.
Which was enjoy. Make it fun.
Make it fun. If you're not enjoying it, you're not doing it right.
Yeah. Actually, making research papers fun is fun.
Yes.
Just like throwing in a few things that are a bit unexpected.
It's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I told Paul Folland, I don't know if I should say this, I told Paul Folland that when I next have him as my first marker, throughout my entire research paper, on the margin side of the paper, I'm going to have every sentence starting with the letters PAULFOLLAND. So it just says Paul Folland down the left hand side.
You told him that's what you're going to do?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was like, go for it. So
he'll know which one's yours then, though.
that's true. He'll forget by next year. He'll forget. And and then it'll just say Paul falling down the side of his paper.
Mm.
It's a little interesting thing. Gives me a little challenge to start every sentence
Yeah.
with those
Yeah,
letters. So
Morse
Yeah, I like
code.
that.
we'll see how that goes.
Challenge yourself. I like
I'll
it.
let you know.
Yeah, just add something that's a bit like, oh, you know, when they're marking it, they're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I wrote about, you know, in Ezekiel when it's writing about Ezekiel's temple, because somebody brought up the point that it could have easily, because there's no like roof on Ezekiel's temple, it could have easily been like, what's the word, like tainted in a way, so it wasn't like a holy place, because if birds flew over it and you know did their thing when they're flying over, it would ruin the holy place.
It would.
So things like that are like kind of quirky and a bit interesting.
That is quite interesting. That's fun. That's cool.
Yeah.
After your masters, what's your goal? What do you want to do?
What's the plan?
Do you have one?
No, I tend to just think a few years at a time, really. I was supposed to take 2 years doing the masters, because you can do it in 2 or 3 years. I was going to do 2, but it felt a bit rushed, so I'm taking 3. So I've pushed it back even further. So yeah, I really enjoy academics of theology and faith, and like writing about them and like having that, like I keep saying, that kind of educational environment. So I think something in that sort of capacity, whether that's like formal in a school or university, I don't know, but I think especially there's an opportunity for that within church life, just having like Bible classes and stuff where people are able to like talk and discuss things. I'd love to be involved in that kind of thing. So yeah, but I think I really appreciate the value and need for like sharing it further as well in different ways. So not just being like, because I think Christians can very often just streamline and just be within church all of their life. So I think there's got to be ways that we're like engaging outside of that in some way. So whether that's just like evangelism or I don't know, just being a representative in some sort of like workplace that isn't the church, I think is valuable. So I don't know how that would look necessarily for me, but I think that's
really cool,
valuable.
Something to look forward to.
That is something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Oh right, yeah. I thought that was like a question, or I don't know. Anyway.
no, that is something to look forward to.
Right, got you.
Something to have in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
As you come to the end
Yeah,
of the masters.
yeah. I think so. Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Wow, very cool.
You guys got plans after the undergrad? Anyone want to do a masters?
I wouldn't completely take it off the table. So yeah, we'll have to see.
Nice. I'll shoot again in 2 years, James.
Okay. Might be a different answer. I might say yes, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
So
Might
who
be.
knows?
I'm hoping to do the MIT course.
Oh yeah.
For Elim.
Yeah.
The ministry and training course.
Yep.
Which is another 3 years.
Yeah.
That's the plan right now.
Yep.
To become a minister, a pastor. That's the goal.
Would you get placed in a church or just go like to your home church or?
I would like to get placed in a church. Obviously, I would love to go to my home church. But I think right now I would rather get experience somewhere else, because I've been in my home church my entire life.
Yeah.
And I know what it's about.
Yeah.
And I know what God's doing there and the culture that's there. But I'd like to go and see other places as well and go and
change of
serve somewhere else. So I think really long term, I'd like to go back. I'd like to go back one day, but not straight away.
How far would you go for like, a change of scenery? Like within England or like outside of England?
Probably UK.
Yeah.
Probably not any further than that. Oh well, that's what I think at the minute. God's not told me any different. But who knows?
Good.
If God says go, then I guess I'm going.
Probably, yeah.
But
you do well to.
I do well to go.
The best thing.
But right now, I'm just ticking along at Regents and then hopefully do an MIT course. So at the end of Regents, hopefully I would get placed after my 3rd year.
Yeah.
And then do the MIT course alongside being placed in a church.
Yeah.
That's the ideal.
Yeah.
That's the plan, but we'll have to see what happens.
Nice. Sounds good.
Yeah. Well, just as we come to the end of the podcast, we always ask everyone the same question
Mm-hmm.
right at the end. And it is, what's your favourite scripture? Maybe all time or just for right now, but just a little verse that you carry with you. What do you think?
Oh,
What would yours be?
does it have to be a little verse?
No, you go for it.
Just the whole path.
You go for it. If you want to give me a whole chapter, I'll accept up to a chapter.
I think
Maybe not a whole book.
No.
Oh, not a whole book. Oh, okay. I would have said Ezekiel as a whole book.
Yeah.
Because I just think there's so much in it. Like in the beginning chapters, it's like the drama of like the imagery of these like angelic beings and stuff like that. But then there's also like the sign acts. So he's got a prophetic message for people, and he just like lies on his side for like hundreds of days, and then lies on his other side, and all these different like wild things that he does, I think are exciting. But then at like the end of the book, you get all this imagery of like this temple that he sees in like this future, like glorious time that he anticipates and stuff. So yeah, it's really hard. Maybe let's go with Ezekiel 1.
Ezekiel
I
1.
think yeah. I don't know if that'll encapsulate everything. That
Just Ezekiel then. We'll give you Ezekiel. Go on.
if you don't mind.
I don't mind. We don't mind.
Oh, relief.
We'll pull some
defended it well.
strings.
What a
We'll
relief.
pull some strings.
It's just so exciting. So I think that would be something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go
Cool.
with Ezekiel.
That's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of valuable bits in all of Scripture.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah. I read Judges as well recently. That's quite exciting.
You know what's great is that no one said the same bit of scripture. Twice. So
So I'm
wonder how
claiming
long-
Ezekiel and Judges.
yeah, you're claiming the whole of that. All right.
Put your name under that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think so. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'll just pray, and then we'll close.
Thanks.
Yeah, Father, thank you for Joel, Lord, and thank you just for the time that he's taken to come on the podcast this evening. Lord, thank you for that you have a plan for him, Lord, and I thank you that he's just been able to enjoy and flourish here at Regents, and that as he continues to stay and study and do his masters and help out academically, Lord, that he would just be a blessing to those around him, Lord, and a blessing to all of the people in the future that will meet him. Father, as he continues his journey walking alongside you, I pray that you would just reveal to him as necessary, Lord, what your purpose is for his life, Lord, and where you want him to go next. I just pray a massive blessing over this brilliant man of God, Father, and thank you for him being such a legend, Father. In your beautiful name, Amen.
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 Thank you very much. It's been an honour.
No, thank you.
So have fun editing this.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much for watching the podcast. Hopefully you did enjoy. Make sure to share it with everybody you know, and just to really, encourage people, and just hopefully it blesses your day. And we'll see you next time for our next episode. Goodbye.